conflict is inevitable.
And oftentimes we think that if we have a wonderful marriage, we're not going to have conflict. But we have conflict because we really care about each other and we are passionate about the things that mean a lot to us.
And we want the people that we love to feel the same way we do.
Right.
I don't have conflict with people I don't have a relationship with because, quite honestly, I don't care if they're wrong, So I want to try to influence those people who I care about. So one person in love plus one person in love can still equal conflict is what we're saying. It's inevitable. We need to embrace it. We need to welcome it. But so often we look at conflict as a negative thing, something to be avoided. Conflict is bad. But what we need to learn during this season is that conflict is a good thing. Number one, because it shows we have relationship, right, that we want to influence each other. But the second thing is when we have a fight, I normally find out something new about you that I didn't know before. So I want to do this with some money, and you want to do this with some money. And I begin to understand what your priorities are, that you want to save as opposed to spend, or that you would like to invest in something more permanent as opposed to something frivolous. And I might not have known that right off the bat, but because we've had this argument, we've had this fight, we've gotten to know each other. So conflict, really, if you learn how to resolve it well, will build intimacy, will strengthen our marriages, not weaken them. So we can go ahead and embrace conflict as long as we have a good strategy for resolving it. When Karen and I were first married, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, I made a number of mistakes because I was an insecure young man. We were in youth pastorate in Des Moines, Iowa, and often I would tell a lot of jokes. I'd like to use a lot of humor, but I'd make them at Karen's expense. And I thought they were quite funny. And then we'd go home and Karen would be slamming doors, banging drawers, and I wonder, what did I do wrong? And I had to say, Karen, what is going on? And she'd say, every one of your jokes, I was the butt of your joke. I was the brunt, and you really made me look bad. I don't appreciate looking bad in front of these kids. I'm trying to build a rapport and relationship with them as well. So, in having talked that through, I learned right away that I cannot use Karen as the brunt of my jokes. So it was a way of building our relationship and ultimately our intimacy, because now I try to protect her image and to not use that tactic as much.
Well, and you have to realize that things aren't going to change overnight. He's not going to be transformed and never do that again. So
you still got a bag of candy from a group of people
at a weekend retreat because they felt so sorry for me because I
regressed back into old ways.
Right. So you have to have some understanding and some cues to say, hey, we're falling back into the same thing. That hurts me. I don't feel good about that. So can we look at that? Another aspect we need to consider when we talk about balancing of power is we have to overcome the desire to be in control. Two individuals coming together that have been in control of their lives and their destiny are now coming together and they're melding together as one. So we've got to...
I'm smiling because I'm passive and you're assertive, and you were waiting for me to be the control guy, the husband, the leader. And I'm content not to lead. I'm content to go out there and have some fun, honey. I'll catch up, and we'll follow. I don't need to be a control freak. Doesn't bother me at all. And I know that frustrated you a little bit when we get started.
Yeah. My dad was totally in control. I totally knew what he wanted to do, and we did it. When he's just allowing me to be in control because he doesn't...
because you're a lot like your father, and I just didn't want to get in the way.
Whatever. What we need to do is realize that we've got to be compatible and share the leadership roles.
Right. It fleshes out in decision making.
Right.
Sometimes Karen and I disagree on decision, and we need to come to the point where who's going to make the final call, and we agree on it. Sometimes I let Karen make the final call. Sometimes she makes me make the call. So again, it can be a fluctuating thing. The Bible teaches that the husband is going to be ultimately responsible for the decisions that the family makes. So we need to come in that context and understand that. But yet at the same time, it doesn't mandate that I am the control freak, I am the boss, and you will do what I say.
Exactly.
That might not work in our relationship, and it wouldn't work in our relationship. So we just need to come to grips as a couple with what your ruling and following, leading and following is going to look like. So we've looked at the second task in young love. That's resolving conflict, balancing power, who's in control here. And again, my hunch is if your marriage is like our marriage, it's something that's going to come up in every season because different times we're going to be looking and conflict's going to keep coming. When you're young love, you don't have the parenting issues, and when parenting shows up, we're going to fight more about parenting, and we're going to fight a little bit more about money when money comes into play. So how about you? How are you guys doing in the area of controlling and conflict? Pause the video now and look at the need and knows and knows questions. Take some time and do some evaluation together on how well you're doing in this area of conflict and control. And we'll see you next time on Fan the Flame Dates.